Hey, if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button. And this week, it's Chris Davis from the Ghost Inside, and we're getting real nerdy.
Worship and tribute, nerd.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Michael, aka Rickshaw, and welcome to Worship and Tribute Nerd. Today, we have a quarantine edition. We are technically allowed to do things, but not in big groups. But it's quarantine still. We're still staying indoors. We're still not trying to get diseased. You know?
Safe and responsible.
But I have Chris Davis here. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm trying not to go crazy, just as everybody else is in this situation.
Oh my God, it's hit the point. It's like when I see people protesting, I'm like, yo, I get it, but don't be a dick. You know? Like,
yeah, I mostly think just don't be a dick, but
right. But then
I think that's like hard to ask for sometimes these days.
Yeah, we're pretty spoiled in this society. We're like, oh, people are dying. You know, oh, it's fake. I need a haircut. That's what it boils down to.
Exactly. Most absurd thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
But we're staying sane. We're lots of people are getting involved in social media and streaming and movies and video games. All
right.
That.
It's been a really cool time to like catch up on all the like movies and TV shows that I've wanted to watch and just haven't had the time to do, and then like extra time with the family and stuff. So like there has been upsides to it, but doesn't mean that scrolling through Facebook doesn't make me want to jump off the roof of my house either. So
dude, it always has, you know.
I feel like it's way worse right now though.
Right now, yeah. People are bored. They're speaking their minds, you know. So
yeah, I mean that's what social media is for, I guess, but I don't know. It's brought out a whole new level of people, I think.
Yes, that's true. But let's talk about Ghost Inside for a second. You know,
never heard of them.
Yeah, you guys just put out a new song.
Yeah,
and it's been a long time. You haven't gotten anything going since the big wreck, and I'm glad to see you guys are all right and coming back and doing what you love. So, how's it going with the release?
It's been overwhelming. We're coming up on, I think Jim just texted us earlier, Jim, our bass player, and he said that we're like approaching the 1 million stream mark on Spotify in like just over 2 weeks, which is insane. Yeah. So the response has been like, I think we all knew that it would be really well. Like you said, it's been a long time since we put anything out, and it's the first thing since the accident. Yeah. So I think we all assumed that it would be awesome. At least we hoped it would anyway. But I don't think any of us anticipated it going over like this well.
Awesome. I'm so happy it's going good for you guys. So.
Well, by the time this comes out, we'll actually have a second song out that people will hopefully have heard as well.
Oh, nice. So what was the last tour we even did was like the one in Europe, right?
The most depressing and yet most fun tour I've done in my entire life.
Yeah, Texas in July. I wrestled a bear once in Europe. Who were we touring with?
It was Vidya.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, crazy German dudes. Hilarious.
Yeah, it was a good time. Whenever there's a German band, it's always a good time because then.
Oh yeah, you guys did Eskimo Callboy like right before that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, right.
Probably a way more fun tour to be on because people actually showed up to those.
Well, you know, Eskimo Callboy is also, you go on tour with them and they have huge crowds, but then people might not like you as much. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah. But it was still good. It was fun. And I miss Europe. That's one thing about being a normal person now that I'm like, being a normal person is not all it's cracked out to be, you know. You might have a paycheck, but then
it's just not as fun.
You don't get to travel and do whatever you want, you know.
Right. I was just talking to the Texas guys the other day about how much I miss Europe. I think when you get stuck in like the tour we did together wasn't a bad tour. It was a ton of fun, and the depressing moments were depressing only because of the money situation involved with everybody. Knowing you're going over there for 6 weeks or whatever, and then you're going to go home empty-handed, that's just part of the gig sometimes.
Right.
So in moments like that, it's like really hard to see how awesome you truly have it. And then you sit at home for like years and months at a time. And you're like, man, I'd kind of skip my paycheck to go back and do that again.
Yes, my friend. That there are times like one of the things that bugs me about it is like everyone has to remind you in their own way, because they're like, there's times where my friends are like, I really can't believe you were that bad. And then I'm like, oh, thanks for reminding me that I don't get to travel and play music and
right.
Or there's people.
I love it. Thank you.
Or there's people like I will meet, and then someone will be like, oh yeah, that band you were in, and then the person you just met's like, what band?
And then you have to do the whole explaining thing.
All right, here was what it is. And then like lots, with kind of the people that I work with, like, in the service industry, I always get like, what? You were in that band? What are you doing here?
Right.
And you're like, working, making paychecks,
Right. Trying to survive, same as everyone else.
Yeah. But
let me flip the script here.
Yeah.
You might have covered this on this podcast before, so I apologize if your listeners have heard it, but what happened with Iwabo? I think the last time I saw you guys was the last day of that tour, and I don't know if I've talked to Michael and Courtney a little bit since then, but I don't think I've talked to anybody else. What happened?
Okay, so in the, there was beef, and it's been years, so we've kind of gotten past the beef. So in the nicest way possible that I could say it is, we, me, Mikey, Courtney, and Michael, we're doing all the touring at the end of it, and then Steven, he had a gig with Diplo doing stage managing and stuff like that, and so he was making pretty good money. Well, we were like, yo, we want to tour. And then we start getting tour offers, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. And he was kind of like, well, I've got this Diplo gig, like, would you guys want to do it without me? And like, we're like, sure. And then, like we were like, oh, we're going to be in that area and you're going to be home. Well, I mean, like we'd halfway ask, and he would just kind of be like, ugh, whatever. So then we were just like, okay, well, I don't want to like bug you about it. And then once we start doing it, he starts being like, well, you owe money. You owe money for this. You owe money for that. And then we're like, what do you mean? Like, this is the only time you talk to us. You know what I mean? Right. So then in the end, he's kind of like, you didn't even ask me to do any of those shows. And we're like, oh, what? And then it was, there was gaslighting involved, information being withheld from us, and then especially with the money and stuff. So we were like, look, it's in our best interest to like not do this anymore, because everybody else wants to do new musical projects or continue to tour and carry on, and you don't. So that's where it kind of ended. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. That happens. It's easy to get to that point.
The sad thing is, though, there was opportunities waiting for us if we were to just figure it out, if we were going to be Iwabo from then on, or if we were just going to quit or break up. And those opportunities were really awesome, but then we just had to let it go, because it's like Steven was the founder of the band. There you go. You know what I mean? So I would rather I'd rather not fight and be involved in a bunch of drama. Whenever it's like you actually did start the band, sure. There we have the answer. So
that's fair.
But I am bummed about it. So
understandably so. Understandably so.
Right.
We kind of got forced into the scenario of like having the touring world kind of taken away from us and having to sit and not do stuff for 4.5 years. I totally get how much trying to make that transition from like band life back to real life sucks. It's not fun.
Oh my God. It's like, it's for a while, it's like what you need almost, you know what I mean? But then once you realize what you're doing and like your routine, you're like, take me back. Yeah.
We'll be back in the van.
Yeah, put me in, coach. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and so now I do this, and this is kind of like my presence online, and
I respect it.
Krista, the original singer of I Wrestled a Bear Once, she has a band called Empyrean Lights, and
Okay.
once they kind of get things rolling, they were like asking me to play in their band. So I'm like, they're adults, they have kids, and I'm an adult. So it's like it's good to be involved in a project that everyone's like, well, we don't know what's going to happen because we have kids. So
Right.
yeah, I could still act like an adult.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right.
Minimal commitment, yet still fun. At
Right.
least for the time. At least for the time being, and you never know where it could go from there.
Right. I think it'll be
Sick.
fun. Krista has a lot of. It's like Courtney was in the band longer in the long run, and then it's like Krista still has this big cult following to where they're like, Courtney sucks, and we're all like, quit talking shit about Courtney. She's our friend also.
Well, Courtney's also great.
Yeah.
They're both great.
Yeah.
Why? I feel like. Well, I mean, I could see why Krista has like a huge following. She was in the band when the band exploded, so like I get that. But like, it's not like Courtney came in and like ruined the band.
Right. She was like our.
Also,
she saved our asses.
Right.
Like no one really looks at it that way, like fans or anything. But like, she definitely saved our asses. She allowed us to continue touring, and like that was like, that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like, keep your band rolling. Like, grab attention.
Yep.
But yeah, I feel for you guys, and I remember hearing the news about it, and we were even like kind of going through some money shit, and we were like, we just have to donate. Like, this is crazy for.
I remember seeing you guys donate.
Yeah, like you see anyone that you've toured with and like shared laughs with, and they go through something like that, and you're like, we all have to. The music world has to like band together to like help out your friends. So.
Yep. Andrew and I just did an interview with my buddy Brian Storm. He runs the channel Rockfeed.
Yeah.
And he was the one that started that GoFundMe. And so I was telling him, it was like, first off, I was thanking him for like being one of the first people to really like jump into action to try to help us. And I was in the hospital. So we all got split up between 3 different hospitals because there was too many of us for one hospital to take on at one time. It would have overwhelmed their ICU.
Right.
So I got sent to a hospital with Jim and Timmy, our drum tech, because we were the least injured guys. But they got discharged the same day, and they went to the other hospitals to check on the other guys, and I stayed by myself until my family got there. And so I didn't have a phone. I didn't have any way to know what was going on social media. And the first time I got handed a phone and went on Facebook and saw the GoFundMe, and it was already at like $80,000. It was like the most overwhelming thing. Like I immediately started crying because it went from feeling like we were in it alone to like seeing the whole music community kind of like rally around us to try to help us pick up the pieces. It was wild. And then seeing like you guys and like all of our friends like donating even the smallest amount of money to all the way up to like Parkway Drive donated like $5,000 or something, and it was like,
damn,
I can't even. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, that is amazing.
It's crazy to see like how much I guess the band meant to people. It's like one thing to know that the band has fans and friends. It's another to know that they will step up to help you in a moment like that. Yeah,
and we live in like a really unapologetic society, and whenever you see that many people doing good, and trying to help, it's like wow, you wouldn't expect it from our fucking YOLO society.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so how? I mean, like, how's it, puppy? Jet, ruin an interview right now. What you know? Look, here he is. He keeps trying to bug me.
Yes.
Look at him.
What a rascal.
He is a smelly little boy. Go play over there.
What was our bus driver's name in Europe? Karsten?
I think so.
I think it was Karsten.
Yeah.
And he was the angriest guy in the world. Terrifying man. So let me tell you, my first tour in Europe with TGI, which would have been like a year later, we land in Germany, and we're walking to the bus, and I asked Jim what our driver's name was, and he said Karsten, and I almost had a heart attack. I was terrified for my life because that guy was so scary. He was always mad.
What was he the one? Was he the one bitching about like the vegan? Or no, he like came in and like just grabbed handfuls of meat and like it was limited and would just leave with like
he would come in and eat the small rider that we actually got and then just dip out.
Dude, we've had some of the craziest bus drivers in Europe, dude.
Dude, how about the night? Do you remember the night that I don't remember what happened, but all of a sudden it felt like we were driving off a cliff?
Oh,
and it just went dead silent again, and everybody popped their head out of their bunker like,
yes. Like, are we dead?
I thought we were driving off a cliff. It was horrifying. We had trailer issues in Serbia on the tour.
Oh, yeah.
Stuck in Serbia for an extra day or something.
And we went to like the wild party, like on those boats.
It was like on a boat or something. I don't think I went, but I feel like I remember everybody just being like, I can hear music. We're going to go find it.
Yeah. You know what? That's what I miss about tour. You know what I mean? Because there's times where if you're sitting at home and you hear music, you don't go, I'm gonna go find that party. You go, turn it down. I'm trying to sit here and listen to the internets or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, we definitely sought out a party.
Yeah, absolutely did.
Yeah, it was like it started at like 2 a.m. or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a show in Europe, so our show probably, or a party in Europe, so our show probably didn't end till like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Well, our show ended, and then we drove to like a spot, and then they were like, hey, we're not going to be able to make it to the next show. And we were like, why is there like bass going on at 4 a.m.? Yeah, and then the next day we had the day off because, they were going to fix the trailer or whatever. And we went out looking for these parties, and we went out at like 10 or something. We're like 9 or 10. We go and have some drinks. We're like, where are those big parties that we heard last night? And they were like, oh, they don't start until like 2. So we were like,
that sounds right.
There's like a huge gap to where we were like drinking and we're all buzzed and we're like, are we gonna make it?
that sounds right.
Right.
That sounds fairly accurate to an off day in Europe.
Right. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot about that. Honestly, I just did a video with JT.
Yeah. Did he bring up our driver in Russia?
No. No.
He didn't bring up Gravedigger?
No. He was so into the nerdy part, which we should get into soon. But yeah. We talked for like an hour and a half, and he was like, and then every time I would kind of like, start sounding like maybe we should end it, he'd be like, whoa, stop. Let me ask you something. How do you think Wolverine would? and then I would answer. He'd be like,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So he was just like, I could talk to you all day. It was like an hour and a half. I was like, well, we might want to call it. He's like, sorry, man. I'm just really into this. He's like sweating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
None of that surprises me at all.
Yeah. Right. So I guess we should get into that. Let's get into that. Sure. Yeah.
I probably won't be as intense about it as JT is.
Right. Oh, I mean,
talk about it. He's an intentioned individual when it comes to nerdy stuff, it's part of what I love about him.
Right. It's like, and like, there's times where I spout off facts about comics or X-Men or whatever, and as a casual conversation, people are like, "Oh, cool." But he was like, genuinely just like, "Really? No. Wait. Say that again." He's like, oh, cool. And then like, so then I would say that fact, and he would ask me a question, and then it would lead to other stuff, and then right. Yeah. So
X-Men is your jam, though, right? When it comes,
it is. It is my jam. I'm like
you specifically.
Yes, I 100% X-Men. I've read X-Men comics since I was like a little kid. I've collected comics, and then I hate the movies. I hate most of the movies real bad.
The movies are bad. I enjoyed. I saw it before I read the book, but Days of Future Past is like one of the only ones that I enjoyed just on a pure entertainment level.
Well, it was the only one where they took the spirit of what's happening in the story and made a movie out of it.
Sure.
The rest of the X-Men movies are just like...
They're garbage. We can just say it. They're garbage.
Dude, they're straight garbage. Like, you could tell that they were like, hey, do you know anything about X-Men? Not really. And like, well, you're a writer, right? Yeah, kind of.
You're in.
Right. So
yeah,
and then they
exactly what it seems like.
Then they just proceeded to shit all over characters I love.
That was with Fox, right? Fox was doing the movies.
Yes.
Did Disney or Sony or something just acquire that?
Disney just bought
Disney did.
Fox, and now they are.
So maybe there's hope.
There is hope, but the thing is that last movie, The Dark Phoenix, was so bad.
Horrible.
And they lost so much money with that movie. Of course, it was in Disney's hands by the time they put it out. But, with all the numbers, it just looked like their first flop as a company. You know what I mean? Like, as a superhero movie. So they're like, okay, we acquired a flop. And so they're planning to reboot X-Men in the MCU world, but now they're like, we want to wait. We want to wait until the fucking people don't associate,
right.
So
I mean, I get that, but I think that the majority of people who like avidly watch superhero movies are going to be like, oh, well, this is a different thing altogether. Right. Now we've got the right people behind it.
Right. I mean,
you would think anyway.
The day that I see like Cyclops and Wolverine wearing their actual outfits,
the proper costumes,
right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. So
yeah, I will too. And like X-Men is like not my jam. Like I enjoy it, but it's like not my favorite. And even I will piss my pants in excitement when I see it.
Well, I mean, you said you read the Days of Future Past comic book after that. Right. Is that what you were saying?
Yep.
And then so you got to see firsthand how complex and awesome these X-Men stories are compared to the movies. Even the best movie. So yeah, I cannot wait. So
you should get Jim on here sometime because he is a big X-Men guy.
Really?
Big X-Men guy. Yeah.
That is cool.
He out of everybody in our band, he might be the most active comic reader at this point.
Nice.
He's still like he has like stuff that gets pulled for him every Wednesday at his local shop and stuff. Like he's like actively invested in like the news storylines that are going on right now.
So I'm a horror fan. Are you a horror fan?
Oh my god, yeah, I love horror. Horror, Batman, and music. Like that's the three things I like operate off of.
All right, I'm just gonna say this one last point about our society, and then we're just gonna kick off the movies and the comics and whatever.
Let's do it.
I went to so that movie called Scary Stories.
Yeah. The ones like from the books and stuff.
Right, about kids' books, right? Yep. I heard like they were younger people in the theater. They were probably like 10 years younger than me or something like that. They're like, God, this was such garbage. I can't believe that they even made this movie. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this is what's wrong with our world. They expected to come in a movie about a 20-page children's book.
Right.
That was scary because of the pictures. You know what I mean? So that's what's wrong with us. Like you can't fucking jizz every time you watch a movie. Sometimes it's just going to be a small little story and you just like take it for what it is.
We went and saw that while we were in the studio working on the album. It was all of us except for Jim, and then Will, the guy who produced our record, went with us.
Yeah.
All of us loved it. I mean, most of us read the books growing up, so there was like a nostalgia factor for us.
Right.
I mean, was it the greatest movie I've ever seen in my entire life? No. But was it an entertaining movie to watch? Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
It was.
Yeah, especially with that.
Why does everything have to be some like insane masterpiece for people to enjoy it? Just take the movie for what it is and let it entertain you. Stop like picking apart every little detail. Just have fun with it.
Thank you.
I don't understand that.
I rest my case. Preach on, Chris Davis.
I feel like it's like similar with with the 3 new Star Wars movies too.
Oh man.
You know, like what the hell was the second one called? The Last Jedi.
Yeah, The Last Jedi.
It sure, definitely was not my favorite Star Wars movie, but did it deserve to have people like losing their fucking minds over it?
Dude, did the actors deserve like to be harassed on social media to the point of not wanting to be in movies anymore? No.
It's a movie. Get over it.
Right. That's funny because we are in the middle of doing we're talking about Star Wars. We just did a part 1 of the prequels. So we're doing in the 3 sections. We're doing like
so you're in the really ones right now.
Well, I disagree now. Watching them, going back and watching them, those movies are badass. Part 1, not so much.
Right. Okay.
2 and 3 are badass.
I'll give you 3. 3 is definitely badass as far as those 3 go. I remember enjoying them all a lot when I was younger, and then I remember watching them like a few years back and being like, maybe they don't hold up as much as I thought they did.
See,
and maybe it's more so the first one that I'm just like,
it is the first one because it kind of starts as a kids movie, you know.
It does. It definitely does.
And
I feel like those first 3 might have been a little bit more catered to a younger audience, just a little bit.
A little bit. And but there are brutal aspects too.
Sure.
like this is, you know, they were dancing the line on like, you know, brutal Western style meets children's fantasy, you know, because there are decapitations. There are limbs being chopped off. You know what I mean?
There's like Anakin basically turning into like a nugget of a person burning up and stuff at the end of the third one.
Killing kids.
So yeah, it gets pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is, well, obviously, I don't even want to say it because the poor guy who played the animated character already got harassed enough, so I'll leave it alone. But just I think the way that Hayden Christensen portrayed Anakin just made Darth Vader seem like so much less of a badass.
I know what you mean.
And that's like my biggest complaint about that whole trilogy. But if that's the biggest complaint, it's like, is it really that bad? I guess I don't know.
Right.
I'm gonna throw out one kind of cool thing about the Star Wars stuff.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
The tour that we got in the accident on, about 2 weeks after that tour was supposed to end, we were supposed to go to Australia to do a run with A Day to Remember and the Amity Affliction, and it was around the time that The Force Awakens was coming out. So Vigil and I had tickets to see it in Australia. Obviously, we didn't make it there, but back in January, we were in Australia, and we went and saw The Rise of Skywalker. So it was like this weird, like closing of the circle there. We missed the first one in the trilogy, but we got the last one in Australia, like we were supposed to start it. It was pretty cool.
Hell yeah, that's dope.
Moment. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like. In conclusion to that, I like Star Wars, and I think that everybody the expectations are insane. Like, well, I don't know what everybody expects out of a movie anymore, especially with Star Wars. But yeah, I rewatched them, and I think they're great. I think all 3 of them have really good qualities of a movie, you know, of movies or of a story or anything like that.
Right.
But so aside from Star Wars, you know, like what's your jam, and also what have you been doing, you know, to stay sane?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I've got a little guy that's just turned 2 in December. So
congratulations with that. I don't think I've ever been able to say that in person. Well, you know, face to face. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's awesome. It's been a little bit more challenging with this whole quarantine situation. We were still taking him to my in-laws for babysitting during the day, and then we ended up in full like lockdown mode, like stay-at-home situation. So for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, he's been here every day, and luckily my wife's job can be done remotely, so she hasn't, you know, lost her job like unfortunately a lot of people have. But that just means that her and I are like, you know, trying to bounce duties back and forth on who's watching the kid and who's getting to work. So, luckily, you know, I do get to spend a lot of time with him, which is awesome. It's just trying to juggle all of life's other responsibilities at the same time. That it's a little crazy. But otherwise, I'm usually in here in my studio working on mixing stuff, or I've been trying to figure out ways to produce bands over the internet, which has proven to be extremely frustrating at times. But technology hasn't quite gotten that good just yet.
Right. But, it's not like Star Trek where you're just there. You're like a hologram there or something.
Right. That would be interesting.
Right.
Where do I get that kind of tech?
No shit, right? You gotta go to Star Wars. That's a long time ago, though, right?
Maybe.
Anyways.
But yeah, so I've just been trying to stay like active with music, creative stuff in one way or another. We've been doing a bunch of stuff with getting this whole like album release ready too. So that's been taking up a bunch of time and stuff like that. But otherwise, my wife and I just been trying to catch up on movies and garbage TV and stuff like that we don't normally have the time to watch.
Right.
Right now she's on which is totally not nerdy at all, but it's just she's very stuck into MasterChef.
Okay. I mean, that is nerdy in its own.
5 minutes and come back in, she's like, it's MasterChef. I think she has a crush on Gordon Ramsay.
Nice.
So it's just always on. Man, but what else?
I think that girls love just like this mindless idea of a show that you could watch for 20 or 30 minutes and never care about again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As to where, like, as a guy, or maybe not even as a guy, but as a nerd, I'm like, I want story. Tell me a damn story. It could be a season long, whatever, 30 minutes. If it's a story, it's a story.
Yep.
And then that's why I don't like reality TV, because it's just like,
I don't really like reality TV either. I will admit that I get sucked into some of the seasons of MasterChef too, every now and then. But I do typically prefer something with a storyline that gets you sucked in. Most of the time when her and I end up watching something together, it's like crime related.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a show on Netflix called The Killing.
I've
seen it. And her and I like binged watched it like that. Like if we're watching something together, like that's our jam. Cause she's like not too into like the comic book stuff, and she's not really into horror movies and stuff. Like that's the stuff that I like have to watch by myself on my own time.
Yeah.
So our binge watching usually goes into like some sort of murder mystery, psychological thriller kind of deal, because that's the only thing I can get her to watch with me.
But there's a lot of that. There's a lot of good stuff on Netflix and stuff like that too, like Ozark and like.
Ozark's great.
Yeah.
I am not caught up on the most recent season.
Oh, it's so good.
What I've watched, because it's on season 3 now, right?
Yes.
Season 1 and 2 were insane.
It gets more insane. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how that's possible.
There's also a show that was on HBO called The Outsider, and that is directed by Jason Bateman. Also, he stars in it, but his character kind of leaves in the like after a couple episodes or whatever. But that's like a murder mystery with a supernatural twist on it.
Okay,
so it's a Stephen King novel. So, I recommend that.
Have you watched what's the one on Hulu?
Was it Castle Rock?
Yes, Castle Rock.
Castle Rock. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Have you watched that?
I watched season 1, and I thought it was crazy.
Great.
Yeah.
I tried to watch season 2 and couldn't get into it as easily. Yeah, I don't know what about it, but something with season 1, I was like, oh, yeah, this is great. Season 2 isn't connecting with me at all.
Right. I think what got me was, what's his name? The guy who played Pennywise.
It's some Swedish name, I think.
Skarsgård.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
That dude's great. He's a huge part of the show, but doesn't talk much.
Right. But his...
Just very, very eerie.
He says it all right here.
Yeah, with his wandering eye. Creepiest wandering eye ever.
But yeah, that's another example of like when Stephen King gets weird and you're just like, all right, I like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up on, my grandmother started me on horror movies when I was, I don't know, probably 3 or 4. I think I watched It for the first time when I was like maybe 4 years old. Yes. And so that's like always been one of my favorites. And she like religiously read all of Stephen King's books.
Yeah.
So like I've watched every Stephen King movie that there ever has been because of her.
Yeah.
So like I'm like a genuine Stephen King fan. So like I'm basically on board with anything that's like related to him for the most part.
Yeah, I love
except for that Pet Sematary remake. Maybe
Yeah.
not so much.
Right.
But I did really enjoy the first It remake. Part 2 is okay too, but the first one I think like took the cake on that.
I think they had more of a plan for part 1, and then when part 2 came around, they were just like, "Yay, we get to make 2." And then
I
they didn't
almost feel like they didn't realize how well part 1 was going to go over. They just weren't prepared to follow it up.
Exactly. Well, I feel like it would have been stronger of a movie if they would have known they were doing 1 and 2 and just kind of like made it more like the book, honestly.
Right.
Because like in the book, you're bouncing back and forth. You're like,
and they do that a bit in the original TV series also.
Right, yeah. And then when you watch the movie, it kind of throws you off because you're used to that, as the story, and all they show you is them as kids. So then when part 2 came around, they kind of tried to overcorrect with the jumping back and forth and like all that stuff.
Yep.
So they should have just planned. We would have paid. People like Stephen King. People like it. So.
Yep. I still enjoyed it. I just think if I had to pick one, I would just stick with part 1 and had to pretend like the adult stuff never happened.
Right. I mean, it's a weird ending in the book, anyways. Like I think that you could have done the best job possible in recreating that book, and people still would have a problem with it. Just being honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember seeing the TV series for the first time and getting all the way because when I used to go to my grandmother's every weekend, and we would go to Blockbuster and rent horror movies, one for every night. And I remember renting it and it being like 3 VHS tapes, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I remember making it all the way to the end, and it being like, it's a fucking spider creature. What the fuck, man? This is fucking stupid.
Dude, I mean, even in the book, like in the book, it's like this big nasty creature. There's like also a turtle that helps them do like a psychic battle with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I didn't know that part.
People aren't gonna. It's not gonna go over well with like a general audience.
You can't. That's something you can't put into a movie.
That's properly. Stephen King, that was during his cocaine days. So,
well, sure as hell sounds like it.
But like, when people are like, I didn't like how it ended, I'm like, well, you would have hated the book.
Yeah. I don't suggest reading all 1,500 pages of the book then.
Yeah.
I never read the book, but there's also like a child orgy in the book too, isn't there?
There is a child orgy in the book.
Yeah. I don't know how Stephen King's gotten away with that and not gotten some backlash.
Right.
Because that's some shit.
I guess it was a different time back then during the cocaine era.
It still exists though. Like people can still read it. How's that not become? I mean,
right.
Would leave it alone, but like, how's that not become a thing?
Right. I mean, people are bringing up what's his name, Robert Downey Jr.
Oh yeah,
with
the
with the Tropical Thunder thing.
Yeah, that's.
But it's funny that I saw someone else was like defending him, and he was like, "That's not Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface. That is Robert Downey Jr. playing a character that thinks he's good enough to play someone in blackface."
Right.
He does. Dude has a point.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Right.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. And like, why now all of a sudden is that like an issue?
Right.
And like, why do people think it was like a malicious thing? I don't know. I don't know how to take stuff anymore, man.
It seems like everyone is in a really bad relationship with pop culture nowadays. They just want to see everyone sink.
Yep. And I think that the quarantine situation isn't helping that at all. People have so much more time on their hands to like, I don't know, convince themselves that there's negative stuff happening to like hurt their feelings or something. I don't know. Dude, I'll tell you what, man. if nothing else good came out of the quarantine, it's at least shown me the dipshits that I don't want to associate myself with. Because now when I see all these ridiculous conspiracy theories pop up on my timeline on Facebook, I'm just like, all right, delete.
Yeah.
Delete.
Yep.
Like, I don't have time for that.
Right.
I don't care enough.
You know, unfortunately, I'm in the process of needing people to subscribe to my channel and stuff, so I don't delete. I unfollow.
Okay, that's fair.
Right. So
no, I just don't care.
Right. No, I definitely want to.
I went through a phase where I just accepted everybody on Facebook, whether I knew them or not. So at this point, I don't know the majority of people on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if I don't know you and you're posting crazy ass shit, get out of here.
Yeah.
You're out. Nobody cares. But anyway, back to more fun stuff. Let's get away from this stupid shit. Horror movies. Halloween. What did you think of the Halloween remake?
Oh, I thought it was great.
I loved it.
You could give me anything Halloween and I'll probably watch it. You know, just like
same.
So.
I've watched what's the shitty one with Busta Rhymes. Is that Resurrection or whatever?
Yeah, Resurrection.
I've watched that one
or maybe H2O or
H2O
something.
with LL Cool J.
Oh, right.
I've watched Resurrection probably like 50 times just because I'm a sucker for anything that has Michael Myers in it.
Hell yeah.
I was actually super into the new one though. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
I'm very excited to see the next part. If hopefully it doesn't get pushed back and still comes out this year.
I think I saw something about it. I think it did get pushed. I think everything got pushed, honestly. Like whether it be years or I'm not the type to get into random internet arguments, but I saw one that was talking about Spotify, and this girl was like $10 a month. No, thank you. I'm gonna go download it or something. And I'm like, and I was like, whoa. I was just like, I don't know who you are. I don't know nothing about you. And I'm like typing like, but you think $10 a month for endless music is like something insane. And she was like, I don't know who you are on my feed, but yes, that's what I said. It is too damn much for, and I was like, back in my day.
Yeah, back in your day, you couldn't even get one CD for $10.
You could
were double that price.
You could go look for your favorite band's album and not find it. Like, just not even you. And then you're like, well, where has one? I don't know. Looks like they're all sold out in our system. So you're going to have to just sit on the couch and not listen to that album till it comes out again. So.
Yep. When I was first getting into music seriously in like the early 2000s, it was like either you lucked out and they had your CD in stock, but it was still $20 a CD or whatever at like Tower Records.
Yeah.
Or like you said, it was just out of stock, and there was no way you just had to wait and hope it showed up one day. There was no way to find it on the internet because it didn't exist yet. Like music websites weren't really a thing yet.
Yeah, it's insane that people. Because whenever someone was like, "Yo, Spotify, you got it," and I was like, when it first came out and stuff, I was like, "What is it?" They're like, "You don't have like listen. I know you fill your phone up. You fill your phone up with gigs and gigs of music, but like you could do Spotify now, $10 a month." You search for anything. Keep in mind, there are some things I have found that aren't on there, but
for sure.
But you still could type in fucking 98% of the things that you've ever heard, and they're on there.
There have been a bunch of changes in music related things over the years with technology that I was just like, there's no way this will ever stick. Like, back when iPhones started coming out and people started using their iPhones for music instead of their iPods, I was like, that's so stupid. Why would you want to carry around music on your phone? I have an iPod for that.
Yeah, I think I was one of those guys.
I got an iPhone and I was like, it makes sense. And then Spotify came along and I was like, I want to have the physical thing. I have to have the CD.
Yeah.
Digital music, stupid. And now I'm like, I couldn't fucking tell you the last time I bought a physical CD of anything.
Right. I feel you.
I'll buy it on iTunes, but like most of the time I end up like listening to it on Spotify or Apple Music or something.
Yep. But still support, and not bitch online about $10 a month.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like
that's like the only fight I'll jump into online. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
dude.
The thing that people like need to understand is like people aren't like literally aren't buying physical CDs or anything anymore, really. And so the only thing that allows these artists that they like listen to and consume on a daily basis to do anything is the streaming stuff. So like if people aren't signed up for Apple Music or Spotify, like where the fuck do they think the money is coming from for these bands to like make their albums? It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Like, God forbid, like you have to pay a very small fee to support the music that you listen to. Like what? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We're asking for a couple dollars a month. That you know, at the end of the day, won't even go directly to the band.
Exactly.
The band barely see any of it. So, like, God forbid. What a horrible thing.
That's the way I feel. I mean, I even accidentally support bad movies. You know what I mean?
Same. I've done it plenty of times.
Exactly.
I am. I will watch the worst horror movie on Netflix or Hulu just because it's there and I've watched everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Screw it, I'll give it a stream.
I go searching, man, and then sometimes you don't even find anything. You just scroll for an hour, fall asleep.
I've definitely done the depressing scroll for an hour and find nothing, and then just like, well, I guess I'll watch this garbage movie I've already seen 10.
Yeah.
Because I did the same thing last week, and now I'm in the same spot again. See, I feel like there's a lot of those like mid-level horror movies on Hulu and Netflix that like you've never heard of before.
Yeah.
But somehow they're out there and they're not complete trash.
Yeah. Well, you have to think that like how much money is like it's good for the movie industry to do this much with horror because it's like every horror movie is like low budget. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like not necessarily low budget when you think of low budget. Like compared to these Hollywood blockbusters, all horror movies are like made for a very cheap price, and then they make the money. They make the same money. You know what I mean? Because people are like horror movie.
You got to look at those like Blumhouse or Blumhouse or whatever movies. I think that their whole model is like they won't spend more than $5 million on a movie or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I feel like they're like always the top grossing horror movies that come out. Like that Halloween movie. They're all Mouse. They don't look like $5 million movies, and they're always great. And I think that didn't they also do like The Conjuring and stuff like that too? Like they've done like huge movies for like really low budgets that have like brought in a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Super smart.
Speaking of Michael Myers, my friend Toby, Secret Levels podcast, he keeps bringing up like horror movie fighting game. He wants it so bad. It's
they kind of have that. Well, I mean, it's not a fighting game, but they've got like Dead by Daylight and stuff like that.
Right. We're talking straight up Mortal Kombat style game, all horror movie villains. Like he wants.
I would play the shit out of it.
I would play the shit out of it too.
Like, I would just use that to like live out my like Freddy versus Jason, but like Michael versus Jason like dreams that I've always had. Like let's get a Michael Myers and like Jason Voorhees movie together or something.
Yes.
I would just use that game to like live those fantasies forever.
They should just do a Royal Rumble, like a horror movie Royal Rumble. Like let's get everyone in this stupid plot. It doesn't even have to be a good plot. Just an excuse.
They should at least get the three big ones in there, and let's get Freddy, Jason, and Michael.
Yeah.
I would watch that movie, and then just for like shits and giggles, bring in Chucky just for one of them to like punt him across the screen or something because Chucky. Speaking of Chucky, did you see the newest Child's Play?
Yes. What did you think?
I have to know how you feel about it.
You first.
I know that I said that you shouldn't shit on movies, and I like bad horror movies, but I could not enjoy that one. I couldn't. I tried. I wanted to like it.
Yeah.
A, because Child's Play was a big thing for me growing up. I loved the originals. Well, up to 2, really. They start getting a little shaky after that, but I can even watch like Bride of Chucky and all that stuff and still kind of enjoy it. And I also love Aubrey Plaza. Could not get into this movie. Could not get into the movie.
Okay, so I will say that I was mad about it, right?
Okay.
I was like mad that they're redoing it, mad that they're like changing the concept of it,
Right, like making him like a defective software rather than like some like voodoo stuff.
Yeah. And then Mark Hamill joined.
It's okay, that is a redeeming thing is
yeah.
doing this, yeah.
So then I was like, I kind of stopped being mad. But then, like my girlfriend and like my roommate wanted to go see it. So we all go see it. And then I still liked it. I still had fun. Like I was like, it was a fun movie. It had like its brutal moments and like, it hit all the good horror spots.
Right.
Still kind of mad about it. But for what it was, I enjoyed it. Because, and the only thing that really makes me feel like it's okay is like they're still taking the Chucky storyline from the original and they're going to continue it in a show. And they're also still thinking about maybe doing
they're making a show?
Yes.
What? How did I miss that?
Okay, so whenever Child's Play, the remake was announced,
right,
they also ended up announcing that Don Mancini, the original writer for every Child's Play movie, is returning to do a show with the same
he wasn't involved in this remake at all, was he?
No.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like, yeah, sure, they could remake it or whatever. I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm still gonna keep writing Chucky movies,
Right.
With what's his name, the guy who does Chucky's voice.
Oh, Chucky's voice. Yeah, okay. I can't remember his name, but I know what you're talking about.
Right. But yeah, Cult of Chucky. Did you ever watch Cult of Chucky?
I never finished it. I tried. they lost me a little bit at that point.
They're continuing that story.
Okay.
And they're going to keep going.
So maybe I do need to watch it just so I can understand what's going on in the show then.
Yes. Because it's I think it's kind of cool because, so the girl that's in Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky that Chucky's like going after is actually the guy who plays Chucky's voice. That's his real daughter.
Okay.
In real life. So if you watch Curse of Chucky, it kind of ends with her kind of like, you'll just have to watch. But like, she's going to be one of the bad guys. So it's like we get like Chucky's voice's real daughter, who kind of like has this devilish look to her, is going to be the villain moving forward also. So it's kind of like,
so we're getting like a Halloween 4 finish kind of thing here where Jamie Curtis's character ends up with the clown costume on and the mask on, holding a knife at the end of the movie.
That's the part I don't want to give away, so you have to watch it now.
Okay. God damn it. All right, I'll go watch it.
But it's been fun.
That's been great.
I enjoyed catching up, and
same. Let's not go like 6 years without catching up again.
Right. I mean, as soon as this shit clears up, I'm hoping that y'all will want to play in the South, and then I'm gonna come to a damn show.
I'm sure that'll happen. I don't want to like speak out of turn.
Eventually,
but I think that the reality is that we probably won't get to play our shows this year, just out of safety for everybody.
Right.
None of that is confirmed just yet. But if I had to take a wild guess, just based on how everybody else has had to reschedule all their stuff, I imagine our stuff will happen this year. But I would say the South is probably a likely spot we'll try to hit sometime next year.
Let's just leave it as, if you tour, you might try to hit the South.
Yeah, it might happen. We'll see.
But it's been fun, and we're gonna do something face to face. If that time happens. So
go check out our new song Aftermath, and I guess by the time this comes out, you can also check out our new song Pressure Point, and go pre-order our album. It'll be out on June 5th.
So, Chris, it's been fun. Everybody at home, thank you for watching. And if you have the time, go down below and leave us some comments saying if you loved the Ghosts Inside song or not. But you know what? Yeah, he's going to be looking. And if you don't like it, get the hell off my page, dog.
Damn.
Anyways, it's been fun, and I'll text you. We'll keep up with the nerdy. I'll send you some recommendations and stuff.
Please do.
All right. All right, later, buddy. And see you later, nerds.